Welcome back to the Midget Shed, this time the inside of the shed, where you may see to my right here, we have some organization. My eyeballs have to see something like this to transmit to my brain so that my brain can process and actually get things done. I'm a very visual person, so here's our new addition. There is a whiteboard, as you can see, for each car. Although I realized that in the first video, I did not introduce you to these cars by their name. So we have Squeaky, Tiny, and the most recently introduced car, Itty Bitty. The newest addition to the collection. Nobody competed with my wife for naming that car. So there you have it. I'm going to attempt to very quickly, so that it doesn't bore you half to tears, explain exactly what is on these so that you can kind of know what to look forward to going forward. Maybe the end of this video, but probably the beginning of the next video, you will see mostly work on Tiny. And the reason is, it is the daily driver. It is the parts runner car. It is what I want to be able to take to go get parts for the other two. So this one needs to be worked on first, because there are some things that have to be done before it is in happy driving operational condition. First of all, we're going to flush the coolant system. There's a lot of rust in there. I'll put coolant in. The next day I'll flush it. It'll come out brown. Goes in green, comes out brown. Not good. There's a little bit of rust in there. It sat for a year. That's when it happened. I did the thermostat and the water pump housing gaskets recently, and that's why I know that it is pretty ugly on the inside. So we will be doing a coolant system flush and adding some water wetter to bring operating temperature down by somewhere around 5 to 10 degrees. Carb overhaul. We will be attempting to do that as well, hopefully in the next video. It is an old Weber downdraft carb that sat for the exact same year that the cooling system did and probably got a bit gunked up. When we come to a stop at a stoplight, stop sign, it often will die, lower in RPMs and die. I do believe it's potentially because the bowl is not being filled properly. So anyway, we need to get in there and see if there's anything wrong. I'll probably get a kit for that, just some gaskets and whatnot, and do what I can without actually destroying the carb, because I do happen to know that when you take those apart, they very rarely go back together and remain operational. We will be replacing, hold on, we need to replace the wiper blades, because the last time that I drove in the rain, I about died 35 times. What I actually did was I kept a shirt, an extra shirt that I had with me in my hand while I was driving, and just kind of reached over the windshield and wiped it off every couple seconds so that I could not hit the car in front of me. These are a universal, buyable on Amazon wiper blade that it's a string of it about 6 feet long, that you can just replace this size wiper blade with most British cars. I've seen for sure MGBs and midgets, and then obviously sprites, and cars of that sort. I will leave a link to this if I remember to when editing this video. Don't forget Peyton. Anyways, it is about 1/15 of the price of actually replacing the proper OEM wiper blades on these cars. So we will be doing that. I point to that and zoom in on it as if you can read my handwriting. It says build a trailer hitch. And before you get your panties in a wad, I know that that's the car that will stay original. It is original. It'll stay original. It's for the purists on this channel. I love it as it is. Beyond a couple 21st century creature comforts, it will remain as you found it in the 70s. However, I do want a detachable, this is why you should not have your panties in a wad at this point, a detachable trailer hitch system, because I have a little pup camper out there from the 80s that I would like to hook to it and take on good old-fashioned 70s style camping trips. So anyways, we'll get to that eventually. Probably low priority, last thing that'll happen, but I do want to build it a little trailer hitch. And then suspension bushings. That one, well, roll the clip from the last video. This car has more body roll than a stripper with scoliosis, so we need to do something about the suspension, specifically the front. When you turn the wheel, your body flies the opposite direction at Mach Jesus, so we need to do something about that. That is basically everything on Tiny's list, though, so that we can get to the more fun stuff. So over here on Squeaky's list, you may notice that the top thing, well, you probably don't notice, because again, either my handwriting or the quality of this video is keeping you from reading it. It says buy race fuel. As I explained in the last video, I don't have a firstborn son that I can trade in for a 5-gallon jug of race fuel. This stuff is enormously expensive. But I do need to get a hold of some, so I'm probably going to sell the shirt off my back and get some just so that we can move forward with this project and I can entertain you people. Once we get the fuel, we need to run and mount the fuel line. You may have seen in the first clip of this video that there is just a 5/16 fuel hose hanging on the ground underneath it. It was just there to get the car running. Again, don't get your panties in a wad. We'll mount it, I promise. We might end up going with a metal line too. I haven't decided yet. Weld the fender holes. That is just because the little pinprick holes on the side where the chrome strip used to go, they bother me because that car's not going to maintain the chrome look. It won't have chrome bumpers. I mean, it's too late for that anyway in the generation, but you can do a conversion. It won't have chrome bumpers. It won't have chrome parts. Everything has been basically converted away from chrome as I would like to with it eventually in its color scheme. So I got to get rid of the little baby holes that British Leyland decided was just how they were going to attach the chrome. Just drill a bunch of little holes and stuff it in. So anyway, I got to get rid of that because they really do bother me. Reshape the hood. There's one viewer watching who may or may not be my brother-in-law who knows exactly why I need to reshape the hood. For those of you who don't know, it got ran over. Run-did-did-did-did over. It's my fault. I put the hood on the ground. Who puts a hood on the ground? But it did. So I have a little bit of old-fashioned metal shaping to get the hood to fit back on its hood pins. So, need to reshape the hood. Fill the fluids. Has no fluids. Self-explanatory. Install the seating bracket. I have a super cool aluminum racing seat. It actually came off a drag car, but I'm cutting it up and making it a little more fitacious for this car. It needs to be installed. So I'm going to need to make a seat bracket and install the seat. Bleed the clutch, bleed the brakes. They're both horrendous. Install the headlight vents. You may have noticed. I keep saying you may have noticed, like y'all are the greatest detectives in the world. And maybe you are. But not even I would have noticed all these things. So I will stop saying that. My apologies. You may have noticed that the headlight vent that goes straight to the intake on this car has warped. If you have that type of eagle eye, that's impressive. It's because it was a prototype printed out of PLA and needs to be printed out of ABS or PETG or something with a higher temperature resistance. Cut the front springs. The rear of this car has been lowered 1.5 inches. It's perfect. The front of this car, I rebuilt the suspension before I finished building the motor. So I put the suspension back on, decided not to cut the springs until the motor was back in, so I knew exactly what the ride height would be. Well, a year later, and the springs are still not cut. So I need to do that to find ride height, and don't quote me on this, although I am 100% sure. Depends on which side you're on in the battles on the forums on the internet, but it also will increase the spring stiffness. So you may have noticed. Wow! No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, I promise. The rear tires are not original to the car, but they are original to me as of 5 years ago or whenever I bought the car. They don't hold air now. They didn't hold air then. I don't feel like fixing dry rotted tires, so I will need to replace them. Thankfully, they're incredibly cheap. Tune the engine. That might be an understatement. Obviously, the engine needs timing work and tuning the carburetor and whatnot, and I haven't really gotten there because we got the motor running and we haven't gotten further than that. So it's 2 words here, but it's hours and hours of work when we actually get to it. So it's an overarching understatement right here. And then bodywork. There's stuff on the car that's just not finished. There's bodywork that needs to be done, such as cutting the bumper mounts out and replacing them with clean sheet metal, and filling holes here and there that won't be used again. So basic bodywork to be done. And that's basically all that I have on the list right now before we can get this thing out on a track and have a little bit of fun. The Itty Bitties list is somewhat empty, and that is because that project has not started yet. We're really ramping up to it. It will be a series on this channel, a very exciting one. And there's a bit of a sneak peek. There's a bit of a sneak peek over here in this area about one of the first things that we'll be doing to it. I need everybody to pretend you never saw that. So, to-do list, so that my brain can stay somewhat organized, and complete things in a efficient fashion for you guys so that I'm not working on something over here, changing this part on this car, forgetting what I was doing, going back to this part on this car, buying parts I don't need, and basically just being unorganized. Been getting a lot of good work done in here. Outside organization, inside organization, getting the lights up, getting the workbench built, getting the roof on over there, getting my tools inside, getting these floor mats out, just stuff that is going to allow us to work more efficiently here, get better projects done and quicker, and get to some of the really cool stuff. So I'm super stoked about it. Maybe the end of this video, but most likely the next video, we'll actually get started on the work and getting some of the stuff done on Tiny over here so that the daily driver's ready to go get parts for the race car, do a few of the necessary things on the race car, and then move along to some of this really exciting stuff that I really can't wait to show you guys. If you have made it to this point in the video, first of all, I appreciate you. And I also ask, like every other YouTuber, that you like and subscribe. That would make my day. It allows me to do more of this work that I love to do with you guys and for these cars. So again, appreciate you, and I will see you on the next one.